Okay. Yesterday you mentioned something along the lines of being careful not to use meditation as a form of escape from our feelings. So when irritation occurs and I go into meditation trying to watch my feelings come and go, how do I know if I'm practicing it right or using it as an escape? Wonderful, beautiful question. Okay, that is a very, very valid question. And this is definitely something we should pay very, very strong attention to. This is a way that we check ourselves, that we are using the meditation not as a form of escape, that we are really, really using every experience of irritation as a way of gaining wisdom or knowledge and progressing or transcending. And not using every incident of irritation, and not say that you're not really using that irritation, but you're just trying to use meditation to get rid of that irritation, right? There is that two difference there. Can you see the difference? One, I'm using meditation to try to erase the irritation so that I can be in a very good state of mind again. Two, I'm using that irritation as a way of gaining my knowledge, of gaining my wisdom. And in that process, transforming that irritation. So the difference between the two, of course, is the agenda, right, that you have. What do you actually want in this first particular instance? You want to come out of a discomfort. And then the meditation becomes like a tool, right? In this particular instance, though, you actually welcome this discomfort as an opportunity for growth, right? So then these two ends of the spectrum. So how do we catch ourselves though? How do we know which one we are in right now? Very simply, when you are going into your meditation practice, whether is it you want to meditate because of irritation, or whether is it you want to meditate because you want wisdom from that irritation, just go into that meditation, right? And then that feeling of irritation. And you will find that in your practice, if you are observant enough, you can see what is going on in the mind, right? Someone that is focused on using meditation as a way of avoiding irritation, then is going to have a really irritated meditation session. That's one, right? Because mind is there, mind is part of the practice, and it could probably be a practice of frustration, really, or it would be forcing, doing. There's a feeling of doing, right? Because after all, this is a doingness. This is you trying to do something. This is you trying to change the outside world. And even though the irritation is inside of you, I call that the outside world because it is something that is not the true self, right? And you were trying to change that in order to fix what you are experiencing. So this way of projection is a very, very natural tendency of the mind. When the mind encounters a difficulty, it will constantly seek something outside to blame, right? So in this particular instance, you are blaming that irritation. You are saying, because of this irritation, I'm not settled, so I'm going to use something to settle this irritation. So that is a doing. Okay? So let's take another example. This is a very good example. I love this example. So I have cats, right? Some of you have dogs. And let's say you're playing with your cat or dog, and you want the cat or dog to go somewhere. Perhaps there's food there that you're going to feed the cat or dog, and you want to bring attention to that food. Or maybe that you're playing with the cat or dog, and there's a toy, you throw the toy somewhere, the dog or cat is oblivious. You want the cat to know, so what do? You point, hey cat, hey dog, go there. What does the dog do? The dog starts paying attention to your finger, right? So the more you wave at the object that you're pointing to, the more the dog or cat looks at your finger. And that doesn't go anywhere, right? Eventually, maybe the dog licks your finger. And this is very similar to also the saying that when Buddha points to the moon, right? When the Buddha points to the moon, then the wise person will look at the moon, but the stupid person will look at Buddha's finger. Right. So translating that to what is happening right now. So here is that discomfort or irritation that you are experiencing. So what is happening is that it is pointing somewhere. This discomfort is pointing somewhere, right? This discomfort would not have existed without what? There is a cause to it, right? But if you were to listen to our mind will think that the effect is the cause. Our mind will think that we should do something with the discomfort, when in actual fact, the cause of that discomfort is the one that needs to be addressed. So discomfort is the finger pointing towards the cause, but if we are going to listen to our mind, it's going to be fixated on this finger, right? Which is the discomfort in and of itself. So those of us that are using our meditation to come out of discomfort is basically going to use the practice as a way of trying to stop this pain or stop this irritation from happening to me. You will be in a state of doing, right? And what you will find that is that it's not really going to work. And this translates to your daily life as well, even outside of the context of meditation, right? You find someone irritating on the street. And then what happens next? You have to scold that person. You have to do something. Or maybe you took the person, right? Ayya. And is that going to solve your problem? It's not going to solve the problem, because another irritating person is going to come, and then you have another tick to do. And then another one is going to come, and then tick again, right? Or perhaps you start to avoid people like that. You go to the opposite direction. And what you will find is that there is always going to be something else to avoid. This pattern of avoidance is not an actual solution, right? And you're blaming people for things that happen to you is just going to lead to more people for you to blame. And that is our human existence, right? Constantly blaming, constantly blaming. One beautiful example. Don't know if we have any Americans here. I think not, yeah. Donald Trump, right? People love to hate him. And he's hated by the most by his own people, the Americans. So here is a beautiful example. So they see or they picture him as the object of their hate, and they have so much blame on him. They blame him for all the things that are going on that is wrong in their, in all the people that are getting sick, or in his economy decisions, his relationship with China, the list goes on. So many complaints. Not one single person ever considered that it was them that voted for him in the first place. So if you wanted to correct this situation and not have another Donald Trump happen in the future, really you should ask yourself, why did I vote for him, right? And take the responsibility yourself. But if you were to spend the whole of his term thinking about more things to complain about him, then you are doomed to vote for another Donald Trump the next time another election comes, because you have been looking at the finger and not what it has been pointing at, right? So similar, going back to the idea of this meditation practice and using the meditation to try to suppress or to take care or to handle feelings of discomfort. So this is a kind of avoidance tactic, and it would feel a certain way in your meditation. And the more you practice, you will start to get a notion of that feeling. It has a taste, some people say. It has a smell, right? Some people say the ego has a smell, because you can smell the ego, right? When there is that kind of agenda, mental participation, all that kind of strange workings of the mind, is a kind of dirtiness to it. The kind of dirtiness can also be translated as a kind of a smell, right? There's a smell around this person. There's a smell around the behavior that he's doing. There's an ego in it. You can smell. The more you practice, the more you'll be able to smell this ego, even in your own practice. Then what is the difference? Instead of a smell, there is a fragrance, right? The fragrance of peace. The fragrance whereby there is the settledness within you. There's a fragrance of, yes, now I understand. And now things are done the way they should be, and in a very straightforward way, going through the practice, right? So finding the smell of the ego and differentiating it from the fragrance of beingness. Okay, so I guess the only thing that is left is to describe then how should you be meditating in terms of that irritation. So one thing that can help you is consistency, okay? Whereby whether you are irritated or not, you still meditate on that particular day and that particular time. So this consistency is something that can help us overcome feelings that, I don't feel like meditating today, or I feel like meditating because I want to solve a problem, right? All this ping-ponging is going to be happening. And the consistency will help you. Whether you are irritated, you meditate. You don't irritate, you're not irritated, you still meditate. Whether you are happy, you meditate. You're not happy, you still meditate. Right? In that way, you are more even-minded. And the practice gives you that even-mindedness as well. But it is not wrong as well for you to want to just try to drop down to meditation for at least a few minutes to help you calm yourself down, especially in times of irritation. But when that happens, you have to really watch that you are not so objective driven, right? My objective for the next few minutes is to calm my mind down. I am going to use meditation to do that. That attitude you should not use, okay? You should just meditate. Observe the discomfort or the irritation as it is. And somehow, and this is also what I mentioned on the other day, when some other person gave that feedback about how she was trying to detach and all that, it is about also detaching from the person that is being irritated. Okay? Does that make sense? The person that is irritated is the person that wants to come out of the irritation. So if you can detach from that, which means if you were going to, if someone, if you have maybe a telegram from God saying, okay, now you're going to, now this irritation that you are going to feel for the next 10,000 years. Is that going to concern you, right? And if you are not equanimous, then it is a very big concern because you are so invested on trying to escape that irritation. And now suddenly you have to bear it for 10,000 years. Then you will go crazy, right? But you should be in a state of mind whereby if God gives you a telegram and tells you that you have to bear this irritation for the next 10,000 years, okay. And that's it, with no drama, right? Neither liking nor disliking. This is really about you as a person stepping aside. You that have likes and dislikes, you that have all your personal preferences, right? And you that needs to complete all these objectives, you that cannot stand this irritation, you that wants to use something to solve the irritation, this can step aside. This can step aside. This can be released and detached from. As long as you have started to develop your understanding that there is actually a distance between this and who you truly are. And you know, if you can observe this, then the observer is not this. If you can observe your mind, then you are not your mind. If you can observe your body, then you are not your body. If you can observe the psychological construct that is so uncomfortable in the presence of this discomfort and wants this discomfort to go away, then you know you are not this psychological construct. And then you can detach from it.